Hello, hello. So thank you for joining me, Matt. You're a dear friend and someone I like, and welcome to the third, I think, WolfCast that I am trying to do. Oh my God, for bringing in dogs, I'm gonna bring mine soon. Uh, so everyone that doesn't know you from the newer guys that are watching this, give us like a 30-second intro about you.
Okay, I'm Matthew Martorano. I am a marketer and a software developer. I don't develop software, but I dream up software that makes the world of e-commerce much easier. I started back in 1998 with subscription billing models, selling direct to consumer. And I built some amazing software platforms that allow marketers to expand their reach and process transactions in any currency and hundreds of other things. So
what specifically in like you can build lots of different softwares in so many industries, but why specifically e-commerce?
Well, I think e-commerce is, as we've seen, it's been growing year over year since its inception. And even post-COVID, people have learned, I don't need to go to the store to get my stuff anymore. I'm just going to go find it online. And you've seen many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of new storefronts from around the world start popping up to create not only new brands, but convenience. The L'Oreals of the day of, the days past, I think have been replaced by newer brands with higher quality products at cheaper prices and billing models that I think are easier to manage, such as, subscription. Why should I have to go to the store every single month to keep getting the products that I need, the vitamins, the hair product, whatever it is? Everyone's so attuned to the convenience of home delivery, right? So
Yeah, so I mean I see how that could be appealing, but so I think that it's kind of like it's super interesting because the subscription model gives like companies tremendous value in terms of the multiplier and just like stability, which is something that every business owner is looking for desperately. And then on the other hand, you get to see, I mean, so you're dealing with software stuff, but because of the type of software that you are actually developing, you get to touch a lot of other things in that radius, like payment processing and stuff like that, and lots of store brands. I'm sure you've seen and probably have some crazy ass stories about things that or manipulations that store owners have done with the subscription model and stuff like that that made people take the subscription while they didn't really want to, or kind of like tricked them into that. So how do you see that developing in terms of like how the users on their end see that and develop and become smarter, and also in terms of like the payment processing? Because right now for me it feels very aggressive. There is basically they shut you down. So I'm not pointing any specific names, but they shut you down and that's it. You basically lose the merchant account, and then you have no one to talk to, and you lose all the subscriptions and stuff. How do you see that develop throughout time?
That's interesting that you bring that up. We just had two cases where the most popular, we're not going to name any names, the most popular e-commerce platform just shut down two major clients, guys that are processing over $1 million a month. And because they own the keys or they hold the keys to their processing, they shut their merchant accounts off. They're out of business. So
wow.
their chargeback ratio never went above 0.7%. Think about that, 0.7% in chargebacks. The threshold in clean e-com is 1%. In high risk, it could be as high as 3%. But it's to spend all that time and money and energy in building a brand and building a business to just have a platform arbitrarily say, oh, we don't want to work with you anymore. You're out of business in 15 days. It happens more than you would think. And that brings us to another point, because you're talking about card processing and the bank. So our platform, we're integrated to, by the way, we replaced those checkouts and those upsells. And as you know, So we have to have the ability to process transactions in every single currency and give the clients the options. We're integrated to over 200 gateways from around the world. As you know, you've seen this yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on. And the reason we do that is to give our clients the options and the portability, because our platform is PCI level 1. If that were to have happened, if they were processing their transactions through us, because we tokenize the card data, the customer would have been able to then open up a new merchant account and port those subscriptions and the rebills and any new sales onto the new merchant account seamlessly.
Yeah, and I think that's a big point. Again, I'm your friend. This is like, I don't have any interest or financial interest in pushing your software specifically, but I do love your software because I think that your software is for people who, two types of people: smart people who are doing their homework before opening up any store, and not just, following the herd and opening up on the platform that everyone opens up in. And the second type of people is people who got burned, just like this, guy who just like, ran with it, never thought he would have an issue. But if you stick long enough in the digital marketing industry, you get to see that it's inevitable. You're gonna have to deal with some kind of like either the ad platform policies, payment processing issues, technical difficulties and stuff like that. But so that's very interesting. And dude, if that were to happen, like to me, I would lose my hair, whatever's left of it, in a second. Wow, that would have been devastating.
Well, that leads to another question. You're on these platforms, you think, oh, wow, everything's great. You don't own your data. You're on these other platforms. You don't own your data. You don't own your customer. You can't even access that data without sending legal letters, having hiring an attorney and trying to get that information to transfer it to another PCI level 1 certified provider. It's huge. And so I think from a business owner standpoint, you have to ask yourself, okay, if I don't own the data, how can I make the pivot to where I have greater control over what I own? And if you don't own the customer, how valuable is your business? Number one. But how do I gain greater control over my business and the value of that business? And number two, how do I protect myself from something that could happen like that? And the way I hate to say coach, but the way we explain it to our clients is, look, why would you put all of your eggs into one processing basket? If you're doing more than $100,000 a month, you should probably have 2 or 3 merchant accounts.
At the very least.
If you're doing over $1 million a month, you need to have 5 or 6 merchant accounts. And what you'll do is put them into what we call a round robin, and you just go through and start round robining those transactions. Then once you get enough data in those, you start looking at what those approval rates are. And rather than doing a straight round robin, you can then go into the system and say, you know what, I want to send 33% of my transactions here. I want to send 10 here, 10 here, 17 here. And you start creating weighted averages to maximize the approval rates of your banking relationships.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that at the end of the day, you are going to be dependent on the platforms, and you're not gonna be able to own 100% of your data. But I think that if you structure it correctly, then if something falls, you're not solely dependent on Amazon, you're not solely dependent on a specific merchant account, then yeah, definitely. But so the question is, okay, so the software that you're building and managing, which is Connective and Checkout Champ mainly, so I mean, like, do you see yourself getting into new fields? Because the payment processing, the way I see it, is a very old industry, and there is a lot to know there. But I'm thinking, and there is a lot of money there, but there is also the people like my friend Todo from Bulgaria that's going into like the metaverse, so people who are super excited about AI. So do you think that you're going to build something that would have to do with marketing and AI or the metaverse? So you're going to integrate some features, AI features, into Checkout Champ soon?
We are building technology, call it AI, we'll call it machine learning, whatever you want to call it. We're building AI into the platform where, based on what the customer puts into their checkout, it's going to run through your products that you currently have and allow dynamic order bumps and dynamic one-click upsells. because you don't want to, marketers screw this up all the time. If I put a fishing pole in my cart, my first upsell should not be another fishing pole. My first upsell should be fishing line, and then lures, and then, you know, a tackle box, and the things that they're going to need to complete their package. I know that's kind of a lame example, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
No, it's actually not a lame example. It's very smart, because if the conversion rate would, you know, if the system would have more data on the customer, and they would know that women, for example, usually would take, or someone from Arizona versus someone from Texas or something like that, they usually take, you know, a bigger bundle on the upsells and stuff like that. That could be actually very smart.
Well, think about this in terms of your storefront. Let's say you had 100 or 1,000 products on your storefront. And I know that people that put this little fidget spinner in their cart have, based on the intelligence we have a higher, I would say, take rate of, you know, this iPhone case, right? So that's the way we're kind of looking at things. So based on the information that we have, so the machine learning part of this, as we're taking that data in, if I put a certain item into my cart to check out, what should be the next product in line, or what should be the first order bump they see before it goes into the upsell flow, because the whole point of everything we're doing, and as you know, ads are getting, it's harder and harder and harder to drive traffic. So how do you effectuate change? You have to, one, increase conversion, and two, capture every dollar you can from that customer visiting you, and which drives your AOV. So if you can maximize those two things, you have a higher chance of surviving this crazy e-com business as more and more competition.
And you have what we talked about, which is the payment processing, making sure that your rejection rate is low, and then making sure that you squeeze what you can out of, you know, the LTV. And then you also have, well, it's just like, yeah, it's very interesting. So actually, that really makes me think, like, as someone that has multiple businesses inside the industry, I think that the biggest advantage is you always get to see the actual, you know, trends. So like you're seeing if e-com is going down or up, and you see some demand. So like my question, I guess, is like, is it going up? Like ads being super hard right now, are there any like specific trends you're seeing? I mean, not in terms of like products, in terms of like new specific features of like either payment processing or features that people are asking for that they didn't usually.
Yeah, we're seeing a greater demand for alternate payment methods. You know, obviously PayPal's always been a great APM. Now Venmo in the US, Venmo's big. It's not in, but like in Europe, Ideal, Bancorp, Bancorp, like all these different alternate payment methods are becoming very popular. It takes the card transaction off the Visa MasterCard platform, and it's processing through a local bank, which has a lower transaction rate. It's good for the merchant, it's good for the consumer, because that's what they trust. But it's all behavior driven, right? If you understand that, if you know your customer, the KYC, and you understand the behaviors, it's easy to figure out how to what you need to provide to them to make, number one, the buying experience easier and better for them, and number two, maximize the value of every visitor.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's a combination of giving the customer what they want, and always trying to even that out with what's working for that specific, you know, if a specific merchant is killing with like specific rates and stuff like that, then, you know, how do you manipulate the customer into, you know, finding other payment options without ruining the sale or purchase at the end of the day? I mean, yeah.
It's I mean, you look at your product category. We just had a company come to us. They have a fantastic CBD product, and they have actual physical storefronts. You know, it's not like a dispensary, but it's a CBD store, and it's out of the UK. And they said, well, we're really looking to expand our e-commerce presence, but we can't get merchant accounts through Stripe. I said, of course you can't, because it's CBD. But we have, you know, probably 20 or 30 banking relationships in Europe. I sent it out to the 5 that I thought would, and you talked to this guy, I actually sent him over to the 5 banks that I thought would approve him, and 3 of them came back and said, yeah, we'll board those merchant accounts. So it's just relationships that we have on the back end that I think afford the customers or our clients the ability to truly scale. But I'll tell you where I think I see the highest failure rate in e-commerce store owners. Their follow-up cart abandon and existing customer SMS and email flows are either non-existent or horrible.
I see that as well when I'm auditing accounts and when I'm auditing e-com stores. It's crazy. But, it's also something that, the first, I don't know, 10 or 20 accounts that I audited, I couldn't believe it. But then, I went to, I think it was Orlando, an Amazon conference. I'm doing another one in 3 or 4 weeks. And then I realized that the industry, as small as we think it is very segmented into specific industries and niches. And the people who are into dating don't know anything about e-com, and the people inside e-com don't know anything about arbitrage, and the arbitrage players don't know anything about Amazon. And there is so much to know, from the black hat to the white hat to the gray hat stuff. And, at the end of the day, right now, you can't just set up a basic Shopify store, decide that you're gonna drop ship. You need a technical guy. You need someone who knows code. You need probably a graphic designer, someone who knows how to design UIs and stuff like that. You need someone who understands how customers take, certain upsells, downsells, how to build that flow. So it's very difficult, and people are still trying to do it. So, and sometimes, if they have a very good product or offer, that covers for a lot of the other stuff. But still, they could have made lots more money if they had a very good email guy that sets up, the SMS and email flows and stuff.
Yeah, and monitor it to see what your response rates are. And
Definitely, yeah.
I'm a big proponent of a big advocate of split testing everything. You think you have a great email flow?
So the biggest thing that I see is, let's say 70-80% of people don't do it, and the people who do it, they would set up like an initial flow and an initial A/B testing, and they would never change it. And the whole purpose of an A/B testing is, you want to see which email has a higher open rate, which upsell works better, and yeah, and it's crazy. I definitely. So I want to ask you something that's not technical. So here's the thing, like, obviously you're older than me, and one of the
just a little bit,
just a little bit, like, so I'm trying to figure out, I have some like business coaching that I do, and I'm going to business coaching myself, and I want to learn from you how to deal and how you deal with like what's next. Like, for example, I know about myself and a lot of other people, they came from either nothing or a very low upbringing, and they dreamt of having specific materialistic stuff. They wanted to fly, so lots of places work from anywhere. They wanted to have like their dream car, and then they got to that point. And personally, I remember that I felt a lot of void, because I think, first of all, you don't really understand till you get to that point that it's not going to fill you up like you thought, but also because you've reached a goal that you didn't think that you're going to reach in your lifetime. So I mean, when was that point in time for you, and how did you end up dealing with this feeling? And like, in other words, I think I'm trying to ask, how do you find your next, why am I doing this?
Well, I'll just share a personal story. When I was young, probably your age, what are you, mid-30s?
Yeah, 34.
I had, I was making great money. I was making low 7 figures a year, and I was very arrogant and very stupid in the way that I managed my finances, because no one taught me, number one. And maybe I should have figured it out on myself earlier, but I ended up losing everything. And then I took what I knew and I built the software companies. And I just kind of did it as, okay, this could be a nice income replacement, but this thing has grown, as you've seen, we've grown into a very large company. But what I've learned from my failure, my mistakes in my mid-30s was, you can't count on it to be there forever. So I came up with different strategies to figure out how I'm going to survive if something bad ever happens again. And I know you always think about, oh, wow, I'd love to have that new Ferrari or that new Lamborghini or whatever it is. I tell my wife, oh, I'm going to go out and buy the new Lambo SUV. And she's like, okay, great. Go get it. When are you going to drive it? I'm like, oh, God damn it. She's right. So she's like my great leveler. She brings me back down to reality, but I've done very good. Whenever I make money, I always try to make it work for me. Warren Buffett said, if you're not making money while you're sleeping, you may be rich, but you'll never be wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that one. So I'm very good at putting, investing. I do stock market. I do Forex. I do, obviously, crypto. People are like, oh, crypto, you're still doing Bitcoin, you old fart. But yeah, I've made a ton of money. I just let it sit there. And what do I want to put in a bank when all these banks are failing? Real estate. I've done very good in real estate, and I find deals where I'll go in and I'll actually be the bank. Or if I need financing, I'll go on, get the financing. But every year I probably have 5 or 6 real estate, new construction deals that are going on. So I just figure out ways, what do I need at a bare minimum? Because I try to live like I'm broke. That's true. I know you're going to laugh about this. So it wouldn't matter if I made, $500,000, $1 million, $10 million. It wouldn't matter what I made. Everything goes away except for $15,000 a month. And that's what I have to live off of. And I'm like, oh my God, I only have $3,000 left. And that's kind of, I trick myself into this mindset that I'm living almost broke, but I have all my money working for me, because eventually when I'm done, I don't want to have to worry about it ever again. So is that weird?
I'm very sensitive when it comes to it, so I'm like, I used to change cars every year or two, and now I think my car is like 4 years old or something, and it's a very good car, but like I still, I'm not excited about driving it. I don't use it, I start it once every 10 days, so the battery doesn't run out. And I'm like, it got to the point where materialistic stuff is really it's a turnoff for me, so like, yeah, I've been through that phase, and I completely understand what you mean. I want to ask you something else. Going back to the company, you said you built a big company, and I watched the last South Park episode. I think it was the last one or the one before that. And it was such a funny scene. So I think Cartman, he watched one of his friends going and making money at this, selling ice cream. And he decided he's going to open up an ice cream of his own, and the whole episode is about kind of the woke movement, and how everyone's like, they want a mental health day, and they want to work from home and stuff like that. So he's sitting there in front of a hot dog stand, and he's trying to recruit people to work for him. And someone comes, and he's like a total redneck, and he's like, they took our jobs, stuff like that. So it's like that thing, and he's trying to recruit them, and he says, okay, you can start working. And he's like, okay, what about the mental health day? And can I work from home? And he's like, hell no, it's a hot dog stand, you can't work from home, So it made me think about, the way that the companies are super desperate on recruiting good employees and people that would, be an actual partner that stays with them. And I think that what's interesting to me about you is you're 1 out of 5 guys I met in my life where I don't know if it's the structure of the company, but regardless of the size of the company, you manage to keep people with you throughout a very long time, and they always seem happy, genuinely happy. And while 95% of the other companies, they lose and recruit all the time, and it just seems like a lot of the people who are around you, they want to work for you, they're happy. And I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the secret? How do you do it? Like, because you have very loyal people around you.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I hope this goes out to all 330 million people in the United States. If you want to work from home, you're worthless. Being in an office environment is the only way to effectively communicate with your coworkers, the only way to collaborate, and the only way to grow as a professional. Working from home in your pajamas and sipping mimosas at lunchtime and taking coffee breaks, as many as you want. I mean, it's just, work is work. And you always have to remember, nothing in life isn't easy, number one. It never was meant to be, and it never will be. And nothing is free. If you want some handout, it'll never come to you. You just have to go out and work for it. If you want great things in life, you have to go out and work hard. So I've always had this mentality, and the way we build our company, and we have developers, they're like, oh, can I work from home? No, you have to be in office. Well, I don't want the job. Good. Okay. Live off of welfare for the rest of your life. I don't give a shit. But the people that come into the office, they love coming in here because we have a very collaborative and fun work environment. You'll go into the dev department, you'll see 30 guys there that really aren't saying anything, but they're working hard because they love their job. Because the first thing we do that's very good, and you've probably heard, even James talk about this, is all of our goals are aligned. So aligning your goals, everyone buying into the path of the company and the way it's very important. Number two, we always establish a common enemy. So it's always like, oh, we're going to beat that guy. We're going to beat this company. We're going to beat that company. So we always establish a common enemy. And normally we just destroy these enemies that we, kind of throw out there as anyway. The reason that people like working for us, enjoy working for us, because we do have a fun work environment, but we also treat every employee like they're, an owner of the company. We give them incentives. The better they do, the greater their pay. So we have account managers, and when other companies hear this, we have account
I gotta
managers.
stop you. I want to tell you that I don't think it's either two. I think that you don't. I think it's a big blind spot even for you. I think that yes, you probably pay a good amount and they're incentivized, and I think it's a very good work environment. But looking at the people that I've seen working with you and around you, I think that you make them feel like they're partners. I never heard you talk down to anyone or something close to it. And I think it's something in the energy between you and that person that resembles a lot more of like an energy of a partnership, where there is someone who is more in charge and it's well known to everyone. But I also think that the energy is kind of like free within the bounds of, so I that's when I was like trying to think about it last time we met in Arizona, and I saw it and I was trying to really not reverse engineer, but really understand, the secret sauce. I think that they're incentivized, and I think it's a great work environment regardless. But there are a lot of other working environments and companies that incentivize their workers, and they're still not happy, and they still wanna. They don't care the second they walk out of the building. They don't care if the building explodes, And
Yeah.
your guys are genuinely into it. Like when someone goes on a call, when someone approaches, they treat it as if it's more than making money. It's more than reaching a certain percentage or a certain, dollar amount at the end of the month. That's how I see it.
Well, my employees know that if they're loyal to me, I'm loyal to them. And if I'm loyal to you, I'll walk over broken glass through the flames of hell for you. I will always go to bat for you. I'll take care of you. They come, my employee, we've got 50, 60 employees. They come in my office and they personal problems. Hey, how would you do this? Employees are like, hey, I got this client issue. How would you handle that? Hey, Matt, I need to figure out how, we have this new technology we want to build. How would you do it? So we treat everyone like, everyone's important.
Do you
right?
code, by the way? Do you know how to code?
I know how to read code. I don't code.
Hmm.
When it comes to dreaming up technologies and how it's supposed to function, I know it very well.
It's interesting. So yeah, I mean, where are the offices, by the way?
We have an office in Roswell, Georgia. Nice big office. We have an office down in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which is our headquarters. And we're thinking about opening a new office because our European presence is growing either in Manchester, England, or in the south of Spain.
So how is it structured, if you don't mind me asking? So you're on top, and then there are like generals and.
Yeah, it is. And so I'm the sole owner of the company. Actually, people freak out when they're like, well, how much money did you raise? I never raised a dime. I bootstrapped this whole thing. I'm not beholden to anybody except for my employees. So
And did you feel like that was holding you down from scaling it faster back in the day?
Maybe, but I just didn't. I don't like taking on debt, and I don't want to report to someone. I want to do things the way that I know it's going to work, not by some Harvard graduate that thinks he knows how to run a business.
Mhm.
I mean, look at a company like Big Commerce. I don't think they've ever had a profitable year.
Mhm.
They're always running in the negative. And this guy, whatever. He's Harvard.
I think it's more than binary. I think that when you have some debt, first of all, a lot of financial guys, they do think that some debt, to some extent, to some percentage, when the company is profitable, is probably good for scaling purposes. And then I think that debt also, it depends on what kind of person you are. Some people, they can't sleep at night when they're in debt.
Yeah.
And some people would work harder, so it depends on if it drives you or puts you down.
Yeah. So yes, it's me. And then I got my C-level executives, and then I got my sales team, account management team, my development team, and they all report up. And then communication is important. We have our Monday management meeting every Monday morning. We sit down with all the heads of the department and we go through every single person. What are the issues? What do we need to resolve? How can we improve? For us, it's about taking care of the customer first, because if they're not happy, we're not going to be in business very long.
All right, dude. I appreciate you so much, and I love you. And I think it was a very genuine kind of like talk. It wasn't like an interview, but which is exactly what I was aiming for. And I always love you, and I thank you. And do you wanna just do like a quick, where people can reach you and stuff?
I will. So let me say this before we go. I love you too. So we met a couple of years ago and we hit it off right away. But the reason that happened is because I am good at networking. There's some people who tell you that my superpower is, I don't know, I'm just tenacious. But I believe my superpower is being able to throw me in the middle of a room of people that I don't know and being friends with everybody by the time I leave. Because I think it's important to create those real relationships. And just like you and I did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And building your network in business is going to be the most important thing that you do, which is why everyone calls me if they have a problem. And I'm not just talking for the employees, clients still call me. Hey, I'm having this issue with my merchant account. How can I solve it? Hold on a sec. Pick up the phone. 10 minutes later, it's resolved, right? That's the type of network that I've built that I afford to my clients when they need the help. So build your network. We will help you. If you need help with your e-commerce, but you just want to talk to us about it, give us a call. My name is Matthew Martorano, Martorano. You want me to give like emails and everything?
No, not emails, but social media, whatever you want to. Just
you can find me on Facebook. You go to checkoutchamp.com. You can fill it out. You talk to us anytime you want. Checkoutchamp.com, all one word. And we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, and I think going back to what you said, I think lots of people are doing networking and they're doing it very aggressively. And I think only a very small double-digit percentage of people that I know are doing it in a genuine way, where it actually feels like they care about what you're saying and they want to respond to what you're saying, and they're actually hearing you. So thank you for being that, and I hope that more people are doing that or will do that, and it's not just like old school guys. And dude, I love you. Okay.
Yeah, likewise. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.